This poem's called The War. It's about inheriting the kingdom as a little kid. We're all terrified of sidewalk chalk, children's nuclear deterrent, one-sided mad because the children are cockroaches, immune, hopping over neon giraffes and unicorns wearing space masks like they're not made from powdered sticks of plutonium, and we're all dashing for the garden hoses like it's 1963, desperate to destroy crudely drawn Ninja Turtles, Power Wash, Donatello, Raphael, Michelangelo, and Leonardo from our driveways as if they were the cause of radiation poisoning and heart disease everywhere, their pizza alone popping up our cholesterol counts by proxy. We retreat indoors, watch the neighbor kids from our kitchen windows in our pleated khakis, envious like mirrors, weighted to the credit-bought wood floors as sidewalk chalk leads to tag, leads to war with stick machine guns and imaginary grenades, leads to bicycles written in circles, the riders unaware of the symbolism, the street and asphalt clock, the hands burning rubber. We speak in necessities now, rhymes of equity and responsibility, sprinkling our sentences with acronyms and qualifications and tempered expectations like the dried up fruit that comes with instant oatmeal. One of the neighbor kids crashes into a mailbox trying to do a wheelie, and some of the mural smears onto his shirt. Michelangelo's face and most of Raphael's size skidded into a Jackson Pollock. The clock stops ticking, the air charged with the silence of open Bombay doors, but the boy hops up, laughing, his calves too lightly punctured juice boxes, and the clock resumes its asphalt hours, and we try to remember the feeling of skin knees. We're all terrified of sidewalk chalk because it reminds us of our blindness. We can't see the point in untrained art or anything the rain will wash away. Can't see the recycling bin as a walled-in jungle anymore. The Listerine bottle a hippo, the milk carton a lion preying on herds, a toilet paper roll antelope. We can't remember the last time we ran anywhere for anything except exercise, and we don't climb trees or hop off the sidewalk just to fly for however briefly we are allowed. We walk because it's sensible and because nothing's worth anything if it doesn't last, but nothing tangible lasts, but we don't let ourselves think about that. The purple ponies on this driveway won't get any of these kids into an Ivy League, and the kids around here, they just don't seem to know the statistics, man. Street art, it's like the NBA, except harder. Only 1 in 100,000 ever even really makes it. And what about health insurance? The questions build like Babel, but we paint them with our practicality and promise ourselves we're not proud or afraid. But every turn of that asphalt clock's hands makes me want to defect, to find the nearest embassy and surrender myself to like sidewalk chalk again. So let's go. Leave our socks and shoes on the front porch and roll down a hill, racing up fireflies like beacons in the evening, a runway for others to hop off their first curb in years and fly to, where the tarmac is dirt and all it takes is a little spit and a little bit of faith to see again. Thanks. 2 more. Thanks a lot. This one's real short. It's real old. It's called Windows. It's about worship. I was pooping one day a few years ago, and I was reading the Bible. It's a good place to do that. Malcolm X says if you ever don't want to get robbed, just leave your bathroom light on, because you can be in there for any amount of time, for any reason, and nobody will ever question it. So I learned it's a great place to pray. Nobody's going to bother you, you know? Thanks, Malcolm X. And there's this verse in the Bible that says, whatever you do, whether you eat or you drink, do it all for the glory of the Lord. And that's in like the context of not eating food sacrificed to idols to keep your brother from stumbling. But I think the spirit of that's really important. I used to work at a movie theater, and I was like wanting to be punk rock so bad and be like, fuck my job, I hate it, it's stupid, I'm just here to make money so I can tour and tell people about Jesus, I'm like a super Christian. And I would go like months at a time, like missing the opportunity to like worship where I was at and serve the people I was with. So this poem's about that. It's about everything being worship, because it's more about the posture of your heart than the practical action. Still learning that. My pastor believed the most beautiful stained glass wasn't glass, but rather a free Happy Meal and a number 3 no mayo in the hands of an out-of-work mother and her autistic son. He believed liturgy should include conversations about the weather, conversations with strangers on the subway and in bars, the body brought to the proverbial tax collectors and lepers. For my sister, the most beautiful stained glass was water, cascading down the cliff sides of Route 15, runoff falling into righteousness. Her favorite minister was the praying mantis, his wordless sermons uniting peace and brimstone, silence preaching stillness before God, louder than a televangelist. Here, Payne's kaleidoscope, hymnal thick, light passing through umber and ruby, violet and blue, soft gold, bathing the small chapel of a Pennsylvania monastery in the joyful, joyful shades of blood. The building bows in prayer, the patient breathing of the vents echoing like stones in ponds. If the universe is a cathedral, everything is glass. Cool, one more. Thanks a lot. You guys can keep coming closer. It's okay. There's shade in here. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. We brought merch conveniently displayed on the stage because capitalism's great. You can buy something that'll help us eat. You don't have to. I have cards right here. All my art's for free. I really think that people are important, and I think if art's really as important as we claim it is, then people should be able to get to it if they need it. There's a bucket out there. Josh Moza, he does this thing called Tirades of a Timid Tongue, does really sick woodworking, and he like hand burned these wooden utensils with our Torah logo on them. So if you want to donate something, you can grab those. We're never making them again. They're really sweet. Thanks a lot for listening. Maybe you don't go to Take Hold. I don't know a lot of you. I really like Take Hold a lot, and I really like Grand Rapids a lot. It's been really cool to me. I don't always, it's really cool. I'm from the suburbs. I grew up playing sports. The craziest, most edgy thing I ever did was listen to Linkin Park while I got ready for soccer practice in 8th grade. The music community is not one that I like grew up in. It's one that God planted me into, and I really appreciated this church because it is so punk rock and edgy, but you guys have always been open to everybody I know, and I really appreciate that. This poem's called Imago Dei in the Blood. It's about what makes us the same. I've been learning more and more. I put God in this box. I talked to Kevin a lot about this. A lot of times when I want to share the gospel or whatever, I want to try to like leverage it in, like work it in. Like if I use the right technique, all these people are going to believe in God and it's going to be sick, And really what Josh said today is really sick. The gospel is for everybody. And we don't need to leverage it or trick it or do anything to it. We just need to shut up and get out of the way and let Jesus be Jesus because he appeals, because that's who he is. And we're all made for our creator. This poem's about that. Thanks for listening. I love you a lot. If there's anything I can do to serve you, I want to. I think artists should be servants. Most artists' talks for other artists center on how to provide for yourself and make this sustainable, and nobody ever tells you that what you have is a gift and you should use it to serve people. So if I can serve you, I want to. Kevin taught me that. I didn't think of it. Thanks a lot for listening. Like Wolverine and Bach bumping into each other the day after Betsy Ross's Flag Day party, both perusing the potato chip aisle and attempting to make the conversation. Wolverine fumbling over the word sonata, Bach asking something ridiculous about the ratio of claw length to sharpness. My dad and I finally opt for the immediate, the pros and cons of kettle cooked and baked. We reminisce about football, rehashing the same stories, how I laid out the return man in the state game, how Kareem ran with a desperation no one's seen since. We argue the merits of single-wing hybrid systems on the NFL level, and I champion RG3 and Tim Tebow, even though neither of us has seen a single game all season. We buy Hint of Lime Tostitos and Newman's Own Queso, because that's what we've been eating for weeks now. We figure, why change? We know what we like. I don't tell him of the existential wanderings the Kiwi displays multicolored tiles induce in me, because he wouldn't understand them, and I honestly can't explain them, and existential wanderings don't always make for good, polite conversation anyway. But staring at those rainbow cubes, I remain convinced if Pablo Picasso somehow fell madly in love with Helen Keller and painted her darkness, he would tell her, knowing she cannot fully understand, and she would thank him, knowing the same. But the pause after her thank you, her fingers the tips of a willow branch frozen mid-kiss upon the pond of his palm, would bear the titanic weight of their love. And then they would talk of the rain and sip lemonade and while away the hours saying everything in their common tongues, apples and Bermuda grass and Christmas, the feeling of polished oak upon bare feet, circumnavigating the globe of that inexpressible moment until they both soaked so long in its seas they became convinced they'd carry its salt forever. I say nothing of that because it won't translate. Instead, I talk of Captain America and the new Clooney movie, and my dad, the history teacher, enlightens me on the night before Normandy, the drinking and the whispers and the wide eyes of men curled in the pregnant belly of history, their heart rates increasing with every contraction. He tells me Patton's shoe size, his favorite sandwich and favorite song, and we overhear women fawning over Ryan Gosling and Joaquin Phoenix while picking through leaks. Their conversation leapfrogs to Elie Wiesel's Night and their book club, a favorite of my dad's, but I keep silent still. The image of Wiesel and Hitler locked in a hotel room together for all eternity. My imagining of them years into their stay, long after the anger subsided and forgiveness bloomed around the talk of their mothers, watching pay-per-view and commiserating on the difficulties of capturing rhododendrons with watercolors. Such a thought disturbs the black and white TV drama loving corners of my mind. It would most certainly upset my dad, and so I stay silent still, and he asks me again about that Neruda book I'm reading, and so I become Gene Kelly trying to teach the Hulk to tap dance, explaining similes several times as we sift through peaches and pears, but the smashed in floorboards and broken ballet mirrors are worth it for the minutes while away with him, and they make me consider all the times the roles were reversed. We hunt for canned yams and fresh squash, and I can't help but wonder what Jesus ate, what he drank, how he and the disciples passed the hours of walking, what he talked about with all those prostitutes and tax collectors and lepers. Can't help but thinking that some of it must have been beer or baseball, discussions of Milwaukee microbrews or the Mets, or how nothing's been the same since the steroids. At some point, the conversation must have shifted to Katie Couric or That's So Raven or How I Met Your Mother, perhaps even to Syria or Iraq or sidewalk chalk or the importance of the DDT to the professional wrestling canon. I can see him laughing about poop and spit up with harlots, because that's what young moms inevitably talk about if put together long enough. I asked my dad about his day, about testing requirements I won't remember and handouts I've never seen. We end up discussing 409 and how well it cleans his students' desks, and so we buy some, and he cracks another joke about a dog and a priest in a petting zoo, one I have never ever thought was funny, but don't ever want him to stop telling, and it becomes apparent. There's so much of love is transoceanic travel, catching the trade winds of football and potato chips and riding the seas of Miley Cyrus and Taylor Swift and bed linen thread counts and Moroccan cuisine. There's so much of love is endless circumnavigation over the earth we can't begin to speak. It's Wolverine and Bach laughing over bags of barbecue lays and sour cream and onion ruffles. It's Pablo and Helen holding hands in silence on a front porch in the Mississippi sun. It's Ellie and Hitler watching reruns of that 70s show and contrived romantic comedies, and U2 and Marilyn Manson stuck in an elevator together, gear talking until the fire department finally gets them out. It's the fact that Muhammad, Glenn Beck, Anderson Cooper, C.L. Green, and Miyazaki all have the same number of chromosomes, and a man's irises and fingernails have the same DNA. It's easy to forget, to succumb to the tragedies of cell phones and newspapers and thumb twiddling and ceiling tile examining, the red and blue maps at our first glances, the lies, a distance and awkwardness, to mothball our ships next to fearmongers and Pharisees and build sandcastles on our own private beaches when in fact we were meant to keep sailing, and even to leave the ships altogether, to swim and to sink, to dive deep down and eventually find the bottom, the real solid ground, the ground that holds all of us and all our seas and our Toyotas and our space shuttles and our slums, our sidewalks and our secrets, our advertising and our carpets and our carrots and our dreams and our McDonald's and our protoplasm and all our museums of modern statuary, our diamonds and our quarters, our bricks and our steering wheel, the base of the earth, the land beneath that connects everything to everything, pole to pole, continent to continent, DC to Damascus, Hong Kong to Helsinki, iris to iris, the fingernail to kidney to iris, the skin that the earth's core wears like a glove, like a bone bears flesh. Thanks a lot. Yeah.